Sunlight poured in through the window onto the blue comforter stretched over the four corners of the mattress. The room was mostly empty. A dresser sat perpendicular to the bed, and baseball memorabilia decorated the space, a gray laptop sitting on a desk across the room. On the wall was a large Godzilla poster, but aside from this, there was nothing but negative space. Lying at the foot of the bed, his feet sinking into the teal pillow at the head, Ray fumbled with the bed frame, staring off into space. "Okay." A familiar, feminine voice broke the silence as the bedroom door opened, allowing the scent of cinnamon rolls to seep inside.
"Summer's almost over. I'm not letting you mope around like this all day. You didn't even leave your room the last 3 days.
His little sister Trina scolded him from the doorway. "Tree, please leave me alone." Ray stared face down into his mattress.
Seriously, what happened to you?"
Ray's body began to tingle as he heard in her voice a genuine sense of concern.
"You're always sort of distant and gloomy, but never actually miserable."
"Just kidding." Ray leaped to his feet, smiling broadly. "What do you want to do today, my lovely sis?" Tree glared at him, amazed.
"Okay, you don't have to pretend to be happy."
A confused half-smile formed on her face. "Ah, okay." He sat back down on the bed forlornly.
"You weirdo."
She wrinkled her nose at him, but then she chuckled, and he did as well.
"Look, Mom made cinnamon rolls."
"I know, I have a nose."
"Well, then what are you waiting for? Let's go."
She disappeared into the hallway, and Ray got to his feet, following after her. When they arrived in the kitchen, Tree lunged past her mother for a cinnamon roll, placing it on a plate and absconding toward the table as Ray casually approached the pan.
"Trina, Ray, I know you two washed up before coming in here to eat, right?"
Trina scowled playfully, lowering the cinnamon roll back onto the plate. She jogged into the bathroom and washed her hands, Ray following with a zombie-like gait.
"Surprise!"
Tree snickered, flicking her wet fingers at Ray as he entered the bathroom and spritzing him with water. He laughed, pushing her away before washing his own hands, but as his wary countenance came into view, he faintly sighed, watching the mirror fog up and distort the reflection of his short black hair. He was small for a male his age, only 5'6" at the age of 16, and was unusually skinny too. He considered himself to be very plain-looking, although his mother argued otherwise. His nose was sharp, his jawline relaxed, and his eyes were a soft, jaded brown. The siblings returned to the kitchen, Ray still in his pajamas, although it was noon. Then they ate their long-awaited cinnamon rolls, Ray getting a mess all over his face. He grinned at his sister, and she chuckled.
"Moron."
She shook her head.
"It's your last week of summer,"
their mother exclaimed.
"What are my two children going to do with their final days?" "Thanks for reminding me, Mom,"
Tree mumbled, and she cocked her head sideways over her shoulder to face her shoulder-length dirty blonde hair swaying about with the motion.
"Ray and I are going to the arcade."
"We are?"
"Yep, so clean up, ugly."
She tossed him a napkin. "Ha ha." He wiped himself clean, and shortly after, the two were walking up the street toward the arcade. "Well, summer coming to an end kind of sucks, but at least it's getting cooler out." Ray waited for a response, but none came. He faced his sister, her green eyes scrutinizing the rectangular bulge in his pocket.
"Why do you carry that thing around everywhere? What even is it?"
"Like I said, I don't know," he replied, sick of the same old question. "It's just special to me."
"And why is there blood on it again?"
I said, "I don't know."
"Let me see it again."
He poked at his pocket until he reluctantly withdrew it. "Here, I'd say don't break it, but I don't even think you could." It was a cold, metallic, rectangular object. It seemed to have no means of opening, and it had no discernible buttons or switches to activate some sort of function. The only thing that stood out was what looked like a bloody fingerprint stamped onto it, the blood now a dried brown. It was a smaller fingerprint, and, like always, Tree pressed her index into it, observing the size comparison.
"Did you kill somebody?"
"No."
"Is this thing made out of metal?"
"Presumably."
"Where did you find it?"
"I keep telling you, it was just sitting next to me."
"I wish you would tell me what really happened."
"I wish I could, but I don't remember."
"Sure."
"Give it back." Ray extended his hand, and she frowned, placing it into his palm. So, are you ready for high school? Ray inquired, slipping the object back into his pocket, eager to change the subject.
Well, with the way you always complain about it, not really.
Hey, don't let my experiences influence yours. You already made a lot more out of middle school than I did.
Why don't you talk to people?
I don't know. Ray stared at the cracks in the sidewalk. People are boring.
I think you're afraid.
Ray began ruffling Tree's hair, and she slapped at his hand, screaming,
Stop, you're messing up my hair.
Ray laughed, and Tree just shook her head. Though his complete unwillingness to address his concerning tendencies worried her, she knew she would never get a deeper answer out of him, conceding and becoming quiet. After a 15-minute walk, the two, now covered in sweat, they reached downtown.
Let's get a lemonade first.
Tree cheered, and Ray nodded with a shrug, following her to the tea shop. They ordered 2 drinks, and it didn't take them long to go through them, as there was a no-drink policy in the arcade. After groaning of brain freezes and a short panic attack from Ray, thinking he'd left his wallet in the tea shop, they reached their destination, and upon entering, the nostalgic smell met his nostrils. Years and years had elapsed, but the arcade was still a special place to Ray. His father had always taken him here when he was younger, determined to show his son what his own youth was like, and the result had been the cultivation of his own sentimental attachment to the colorful cabinets in the dark.
What do you want to do first?
Tree met Ray's eyes.
Dad always takes you here. I don't even know where to look.
Dad and I usually just play Galaga. He grinned.
I bet I can beat your score.
Yeah, probably. I'm not very good at it. He raised an eyebrow at him.
That was supposed to be a challenge, like one that involved you challenging me back.
Sorry to disappoint you. He shrugged. You've always been better than me at video games. Must have gotten it from Dad.
Just show me where the game is, Mr. Miserable.
She nudged him, and he led her to the machine. After exchanging a crisp $1 bill for 4 quarters, the two were ready to play.
You're up, big bro.
Tree winked, and Ray shook his head.
I bet you're not as bad as you say you are.
He deposited 50 cents into the machine, then hit the start button. Ray prepared to go to war with the digital spaceships, but with no warning, a very bizarre feeling seized him. Slipping into the black, 8-bit void of the arcade machine as unknown nostalgia danced just beyond his brain, Ray loosened his grip on the joystick, mystified.
Hey, snap out of it.
Tree snapped her fingers.
You're right, you do suck at this game.
She regarded as his ship exploded into a burst of pixels. Whoa. Ray stepped back. What was that?
What was what?
She stared at him, and her expression of shock and concern shook Ray back in reality. Sorry. He forced a smile, though she did not return it. Hey, I'm just going easy on you. If I used all 3 of my ships, you wouldn't stand a chance. He smirked, and she tried to laugh, but he saw the fear behind her eyes, his heart panging with a sense of guilt. After several games of Galaga, Tree scoring higher in 2 out of 3, they decided to walk around downtown, heading in no particular direction. They meandered for hours, stopping into a restaurant for dinner, talking about school and the summer, and just enjoying one another's company. In the evening, when they were about to head home, Tree scanned the shop window and noticed something that caught her eye. Racing into the vintage comic shop as Ray followed, but as she enthusiastically gallivanted through the aisles, Ray froze, his eyes drifting onto a comic book in a glass case. It bore a particularly frightening cover, depicting a colossal, hideous alien overlord roaring with fury. Its eyes red with hate as a fireball erupted behind it. Large mechanized warriors stood valiantly across from it, appearing to retaliate against it with their clenched fists and brandished blasters. Not knowing why, Ray's whole body prickled and his eyes fixated onto the image. A harrowing sense of dread and longing washed over him, and he exhaled slowly, unblinking.
Ray!
A rolled comic book swatted his skull and snapped the teen free from his trance. He faced Trina, feeling a fear in his eye as he began to blink rapidly. She was terrified.
Take me home,
she demanded, walking out of the comic store without waiting up for him, and Ray awkwardly followed her, noticing that he had created somewhat of a scene. The sun was setting, the weather thankfully having cooled down as they journeyed back to their abode from downtown.
What happened to you, Ray? You're so weird now, ever since July.
Her voice rang with a certain desperation that made his heart sink. Ray was quiet for a moment, contemplating a response.
It's that stupid box, isn't it? Ever since you started carrying that thing around, you started acting differently, like you're not even my brother anymore.
I keep telling you, Tree, that I don't know what it is, or what happened to me. I know that it was July 10th, and I went on a hike out by myself down Piney Green Road and over Mullenix Creek, and somewhere out in the woods I fell asleep or something. It was like 12:30 one minute, and the next, it was almost 7 o'clock at night. I was leaning up against an oak tree, and that metal thing was just sitting beside me.
That's so stupid.
What?
Why won't you just tell me what really happened?
She spat.
I don't care. Did somebody abuse you or something? I won't tell anyone, promise. Not even mom or dad. I just want to help you.
Damn it, sis. Ray clenched his fist. Why would I lie to you? He stared at her. I don't know. I'm not sure where this stupid box came from, and I don't know why I feel so... He gruffly sighed. Everything just feels different. All the time, I feel like there's somewhere more important I need to be. Like there's a bigger picture I'm not seeing, and I keep waking up with this... He stopped himself.
With what?
Nothing. Please, can we drop this? I hate talking about it. I hate thinking about it.
Where did you go?
What?
When you started staring off like that a moment ago, where were you?
I said stop talking about it. Ray stormed off down the road, and Tree trailed behind him, the two saying nothing more for the duration of the walk. Ray's eyelids opened as the alarm went off. He whacked it, then sat up, his mind swimming as if parts of his dream were still tethering to his consciousness, desperately attempting to reel him back. Tuesday. I have work today. He sulked, extending his feet over the bed and onto the cold wooden floor below. But then he stopped a moment, bathing in some foreign atmosphere that he couldn't articulate. It wouldn't abate, and when he noticed the wetness on his cheeks, his fingers slid to his eyes, shame permeating his chest again. Not again. Walking toward the dresser, still half asleep, the sensation continued to eat at his brain. Where have you gone, my old friend? Ray stared in the mirror. His eyes were red. He shook his head. Getting dressed and trudging out the door, he made sure to thump Tree's door as he passed down the hall, as well as his parents. Have a good day at work, son. His father called from inside the bedroom. Thanks, Dad. He called back, then his pace increased as he noticed the time, ultimately booking it to the car. He slammed the keys into the ignition and sped backward out of the driveway, then raced through the suburbs toward downtown, determined to reach Mazzi's Pizza with the 6 minutes he had allotted himself after staring off into space that morning. He parked at the back of the busy parking lot beside the dumpster where he could find a space, then raced up the pavement and flung the glass door open. Several coworkers greeted him as he passed, and within seconds of clocking in, right at 11, he was working, gathering accessories for the deliveries beginning to pile up, despite the store having only opened 30 minutes ago. Hours went by of mundane pizza delivery, but with no discernible provocation. At one random, unparticular minute, Ray's heart spiked in the car as he suddenly thought of playing it. Slowly raising his phone at a red light, Ray paused the playlist song, breathing before typing it into the search bar. The 90s grunge track began to emanate through the vehicle, and Ray drifted away, still able to drive, but almost completely under a spell. Sighing dreamily, he let the bizarre and unknown atmosphere devour him. I'm so happy, 'cause today I found my friends. They're in my head. Memories danced just beyond the reach of his temporal lobe. The teeming of brain cells itching to connect raced throughout his sweaty vessel as he battled to understand the feelings that coursed throughout him like blood in his veins. His heart began to race. Despair and angst enveloped him. But something about it was so drawing. In the absence of life, there was such a sense of living, he suddenly thought, as if it had been telepathically relayed to him, not a product of his own subconscious. The esoteric sentiment lingered, forcing him to contemplate it, consuming his focus like an addiction. I miss you. I'm not gonna crack. I love you. I'm not gonna crack. I killed you. I'm not gonna crack. Ray suddenly slammed on the brakes as he neared the bumper of a Volkswagen inches from colliding with it. Breathing in and exhaling deeply, he caught himself, squeezing the steering wheel until his hands turned white. This isn't right, he stammered, petrified by his unexplainable state of being. Something's wrong with me. Something happened to me. Getting a sudden phone call, Ray read over the name, Josh. He hadn't spoken with his cousin in some time, shrugging slightly. Hey man, what's up?
Hey dude.
Josh's casual timbre alleviated Jay's worry, his shoulders relaxing.
Just wanted to check in on you.
Check in on me?
Tree's kinda concerned about you, man. Says you've been acting pretty weird lately, that's all. Just wanted to see what's up, make sure you're all good.
Josh was close in age to Ray, only a year older, and the two got along well when they got to see each other. Although Josh lived multiple hours away in a city upstate, Jay would have gone to see him more, but the drive between them was often chaotic and stressful. Ray not particularly fond of the interstate, but calls every other month kept them in touch. Josh often initiated them, though Ray enjoyed them every time. Hey, Josh, you ever heard Lithium by Nirvana?
Yeah.
Josh remarked, surprised by the random question.
What about it?
How does it make you feel?
I don't know. I've only heard it a few times. It's kinda sad, I guess.
Are there ever songs you listen to that just make you feel terrible? Like almost in a way you can't describe, or maybe a scent that catches your nose and it brings you back to a place that's just beyond the boundaries of your memory? Or have you ever woken up from a dream and you can't remember it, but it's just such a powerful sensation that you sit there hypnotized for a moment trying to unpack it?
I don't know.
Josh masked his unease with a placid murmur.
The scent thing, maybe. Does all this have to do with what Tree's been talking about?
More or less. There are a few songs that when I play them, I don't know why, but I just feel so empty. But that's what makes them so alluring. It's such a bad feeling, but such a powerful one. It's like I listened to them in a past life, or like I used to listen to them when I was alive and now I'm dead. Sometimes when I wake up, I feel like this is the dream and I'm sleeping, just letting my life go by. Do you ever feel like you're missing out on something really important, but you just can't remember what it is? It's something like existential dread or nothingness, but if it were nothingness, it wouldn't be an emotion. But it is. It's like every emotion, all at once. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Josh was silent over the line for a moment, and Ray frowned. Sorry, man, I don't want to freak you out. You asked. He dully teased, trying to lighten the mood, but though Josh forced a chuckle, the concern in his tone invoked him to swallow.
No, Ray, it's fine. You can tell me anything. Is that how you feel?
Not always, just sometimes. When I listen to Lithium, I feel that way. There are a few other songs too. The Great Gig in the Sky by Pink Floyd. That's one. For some reason, Baby It's Cold Outside even does it sometimes. Ray explained, feeling insane as he put it into words. And sometimes things just make me stop in my tracks and I go into a trance. It's so weird.
What? I've never noticed that. How long have you been doing that?
Ever since July 10th, so almost 2 months. Look, Josh, I can tell you what happened that day, but please just don't act like I'm crazy afterward.
I promise I won't.
I went out on a hike, and at some point during it, I think I took a nap under a tree or something, although I don't ever recall sitting down or resting. I don't know. Last I remember it was noon, and after what felt like seconds passing, the sun was setting, and it was 6:30 at night. I was just sitting against a tree, Everything was the same, I wasn't injured, and my clothes were fine. I had my phone with me, and my wallet, and headphones. The only thing different I noticed was this weird metal thing sitting next to me. I don't know what it is. Imagine a pencil-thin metallic rectangle that doesn't do anything. What's weird is that there seems to be something like a bloody fingerprint on it. It's definitely not mine. The print is too small. Tree tries to fit her finger in it sometimes, and it's about the same size. I don't have any idea what it is, Josh, or where it came from, or what it does.
That is very strange.
So you think I'm crazy too?
No, I don't, Ray. Have you ever went to anybody about this, like a counselor?
No, I don't even know what I would say. They would send me to a psych ward.
Not necessarily. Ever since this has happened, have you had any issue with short-term memory loss?
No, why do you ask?
Well, sometimes when people undergo a very traumatic experience, their brain completely cancels it out and makes them forget it ever happened, repressing it, basically. But often afterward, as a result, the victim develops short-term memory loss.
You think I was traumatized?
I don't know, but if what you're saying is true, something pretty bad must have happened over the span of those 6 hours that your brain completely forced you to forget.
The idea of it sent chills down Ray's spine. Maybe.
I hope I'm not scaring you. It's all conjecture.
You're not. You lied. That's just a wild thing to consider.
The biggest issue with that theory is that you say there was absolutely no damage done to you, though. Nothing was taken, even your clothes were untouched. So then, what could it have been?
Maybe I saw something?
Something so horrible you went into some state of shock.
Josh, I'm kind of delivering pizzas right now. Ray interrupted as his stomach began to churn.
Oh, my bad, man. Didn't know. Well, we should discuss this further sometime, if you're up to it.
Alright.
I'm just looking out for you, cousin.
I know. Thanks.
Later, Ray.
Bye. Ray hung up. I want to tell you the weirdest part. Ray confessed in the silent air, but I just can't. It's too weird, too embarrassing. His face flushed and some unknown sting began to radiate his cheeks. That I keep feeling like there's somebody I know. An old friend who's gone now, but you would think I was completely insane, if you don't already. Ray's pensive rumination shifted to the back of his mind as he pulled into the driveway of what seemed to be a frat party. He could smell traces of alcohol from the road, and he chuckled, as it was barely past 3 o'clock. He walked through the mess of a yard with 6 large pies stuffed in the insulated delivery bag in his arms, then hugged the bag against his chest and cumbersomely knocked on the door, wondering if anyone would be sober enough to answer. After about 10 seconds, the door opened, and an inebriated male in his mid-20s popped his wary head into the doorframe. He was tall and toned and sported a dark, disheveled goatee on his face. "Sup, dude?" He dug his hands into his wallet. "Some celebrating going on?" Ray questioned, a small smile on his face. "Yup." He drunkenly smirked. "The aftermath of one, anyway. Can't remember a damn thing." He grinned. "And that's just the way I like it." The words surprised Ray as he considered them. He exchanged the pizza with currency and realized shortly after that he had not been tipped, which bothered him slightly. Still, he couldn't stop thinking about what he had been told, as if it were some propitious proverb. Maybe I should stop thinking about it so much. Ray cruised down a long dirt road in the countryside, leading to the final address of the trip. The sun had nearly set, and a dusky indigo was shadowing the upper clouds of the atmosphere. Maybe my brain did choose to forget whatever it was that happened, and that's the way it should be. Remembering might be even worse than the pain of not knowing. Perhaps facing it would make things much worse. Ray pulled over. He couldn't resist the temptation. He picked up his cell phone, and a moment later, "Baby, It's Cold Outside" serenaded the sedan. No, this isn't the right one. He browsed through many different versions of the song, covered by many artists over the span of Christmases that had elapsed since the tune's creation in 1944. I wish I could find the right one. He stared at his phone, puzzled. The nostalgic one. Oh, crap. He caught the time in the corner of his screen. Flooring it down the winding dirt road, he reached what seemed to be a mansion out in the countryside. and a large, white gate separated him from the driveway. He pulled up to it and pressed the talk button on the metal box, extending from a post bordering the road. Pizza guy," he awkwardly announced.
Hold on a sec.
A giddy voice came over the line, and seconds later, the gate opened. As he pulled into the giant yard, he noticed at least 10 cars, all of which looked to be more expensive than perhaps even his house. Damn, never delivered here before. He couldn't help but salivate at the thought of the tip that may be present. It amazed him that they had only ordered one pizza, or that they had ordered pizza at all for that matter. Then when he rang the doorbell, he grew immediately nervous. How do you even talk to rich people? He wondered aloud. He heard someone calling from within to someone else to get the door, and when it opened, his stomach jolted with butterflies. A girl appeared in the doorway, in pristine apparel, and he was taken aback by her beauty. Her hair was a summery red, her eyes a wintry blue, and her face was nothing short of flawless, a complexion only a rich household could afford.
What's up?
She asked, and he was surprised by her casual demeanor, for some reason expecting either pompousness or reserved and sophisticated greeting. What a place you got here. He laughed, and he immediately hoped he hadn't somehow offended her.
Isn't it?
I hope you don't mind me asking. He fumbled with the receipt tucked in his shirt pocket. But what's a family like yours doing ordering Mozzie's pizza?
What?
He inquired, a mix of awkwardness and amusement showing in her eyes.
It's my birthday,
she informed.
I'm a 17-year-old girl. Sometimes I just want pizza.
Fair enough. He awkwardly laughed, then glanced at the receipt and read her the price. But when she handed him a wad of cash, his eyes widened to see that she had tipped him $40. He became extremely uncomfortable at the realization, already anxious in the presence of a girl as wealthy and attractive as he perceived her to be, but now floored by her generosity, feeling undeserving of it. He almost handed her the pizza, but then, to his surprise, she grabbed his shoulder and turned him toward the driveway.
Have you ever seen the stars out here?
She mused, pointing up at the summer sky.
We're far enough from the city that you can actually get a decent view.
Damn. He breathed, not sure what was more electrifying, her sudden and unexpected touch, or the glinting cosmos coming into view. I haven't, but you're right. Ray wasn't sure why, but when he looked at the girl, he felt something very strange, like deja vu. But he was sure they had never spoken before, and he was absolutely certain that he'd never delivered out here in the past. Beyond just mere attraction to her features, he could sense something deeper lingering, something breathtaking, haunting, and undefinable. His eyes stayed on the twinkling horizon, but his brain searched for answers, at least summoning a parallel, the sensation of speaking to a long-lost friend. A bittersweet poignance flushed through him, and at the lump manifesting in his throat, he banished the feelings. How old are you turning? He felt obligated to make some sort of conversation with her after the substantial tip, the pizza box still snug in the delivery bag.
I already said, dummy, 17.
She crossed her arms playfully, leaning against the ornate door. Oh, that's right. He laughed embarrassedly. You said that already. Sorry.
Were you distracted by something?
She giggled, and her perfume wafted into his nostrils. A blush streaked like wildfire across his face, her eyes perking at the sight. No, what do you mean? Distracted by what?
Nothing.
She chortled.
So, forgetting something?
Forgetting something? She lightheartedly raised an eyebrow, then flicked her gaze at the delivery bag. Oh, sorry. His hands moved in a flustered frenzy, about to retrieve the box when she stopped him.
Just a sec.
He plucked the receipt from his shirt pocket along with the pen, and he couldn't fathom what she was possibly scribbling, rejecting every instinctive extrapolation that it had to be her number.
Here.
He gave it back to him, and his lips parted as he noticed the digits inscribed onto it.
I want some of whatever you're using.
I don't do drugs, he uttered. She blinked in amazement, somehow finding his cluelessness endearing.
It was a joke.
She snickered, and at this he blanched. Would your parents even let you talk to me? He blurted out.
What?
She laughed for a moment, Ray catching his breath.
I can do whatever I want, crazy. I'm Sadie, by the way.
She smiled effervescently, an anxious sweat dripped down his forehead, stinging his eyes. She gave him a moment to tell her his name, but when he didn't, she prodded.
So, you'll text me later, right?
Yeah, he breathed.
Wow, that was not convincing at all.
She marveled.
Come on, it's my birthday. I already have pizza. Getting a cute boy's number would be the cherry on top.
Ray froze, his gaze now peering through her. The delivery bag slipped from his hands, falling to the floor with a dull thud that pulled him from his hypnosis. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. He crouched and scooped up the bag, retrieving the pizza and handing it to her at long last, her dainty hands receiving it, though she was staring at him concernedly. Then he stepped back, shuddering as tears began to run down his face.
Did I say something wrong?
She urgently asked. No, it's fine. Have a good night. He shuffled away, and he felt her baffled glare all the way to the car. When he climbed inside the sanctity of his sedan, he leaned his head against the leather seat, his body trembling. What the fuck is wrong with me? He raggedly whispered, terrified as more tears presented themselves. Wiping them away, the precipitous urge to bitterly cry came over him, but he resisted it. I need to get to the bottom of this. This can't keep happening. Ray sat in his bedroom, swaddling himself under his blanket in a fetal position, just staring at the wall. It was Friday night. I guess I could maybe have taken you out tonight. He thought of Sadie, but instead I'm staring at the wall in my room. Still, despite his loneliness, the thought of Sadie did nothing to quell it. I can't explain it, but I feel like I'm not ready to love again. But that makes no sense, because I've never loved like that at all. He sunk further into his arms. My old friend, I miss you. He sighed, and what seemed to be pain from another lifetime atrophied his will to move. Slowly, emptily, he drifted into sleep.
Get up.
Tree? Ray came to, meeting the panic-stricken face of his sister just beyond the bed.
Look at you. Why are you crying?
Her voice shook, her eyes scrutinizing him.
Do you know what you were saying?
No, Ray whispered, and slowly, the indescribable emotion seeping through his brain vanished into the void of his subconscious.
Come on, let's go to the car.
Huh?
We're going to see a hypnotherapist.
What?
Josh looked him up. He's really good. He's just outside of town, and he specializes in helping people carefully revisit traumatic experiences so that they can overcome them. We're leaving right now.
Tree, what on earth are you talking about? First of all, I don't need therapy, he opined, though he convinced no one, including himself. Second of all, if I did need therapy, we'd need to make an appointment. You don't just show up somewhere like that. And third, even if I did go, I wouldn't want you coming. Who knows what I might relive? I'd rather tell you about it in my own way, when I'm ready to.
Fine, but promise me you'll make an appointment to see him.
Ray didn't want to. He liked the idea of ignorant bliss, letting whatever his brain had hidden away from him stay that way. But it was evident that his ignorance was not blissful. Whatever had been buried beneath was digging itself up, and facing reality likely wouldn't remain a mere option that could be ignored for long. Deciding he'd rather confront his trauma in a controlled, supervised setting, he swallowed, then spoke. Fine, I'll make an appointment.
Okay, thank you.
She hugged him, pressing her face into his chest, and he winced when he felt the wetness of her tears on his shirt. I swear I won't scare you anymore, okay? I'm going to make an appointment right now. What's his business called? The drive had taken just over 20 minutes, the hypnotherapist's office sitting on the outskirts of the city, a refreshing distance away from the hustle and bustle of downtown. Ray pulled into the tiny parking lot beside the quaint yellow structure. Only a small, unlit sign stood outside beside the road, displaying Dr. Lauren, hypnotherapist, pain management, addiction assistance, trauma recovery, and his hours. He shuffled up the small wooden step, then entered the place of business, a small bell ringing upon his arrival. In his pocket was the peculiar metal object. Hello. An older man approached the counter, his demeanor immediately calming. Ray, I presume. Yes. Excellent. Right on time. Follow me, please. He motioned, and Ray nodded. As they walked past the counter and toward the back, he inquired, What is it you would like me to help you with today, Ray? Well, I've been having really weird dreams that I can't remember, and some other stuff. I think it's because I was traumatized, he bluntly informed, and I was hoping maybe you could help me recall it, whatever it was that caused it. I see. He clicked his tongue, the two ultimately making their way into a small room. After sitting him down in a comfortable chair and offering him a glass of water, he sat across from him on a neat sofa. Why don't you give me more details? What are you able to remember about this traumatic event? Ray shook his head slowly, embarrassed to even be here, but upon calling Tree's concerned stares, Josh's worried tone, he steeled himself. He explained to Dr. Laurent the gist of his strange situation, giving him all the details he could about his dreams, his random trances, and the mysterious object on his person, and when he was finished, Dr. Laurent nodded, officially beginning the session. So how this works is I'm going to put you into a state of hypnosis. Contrary to popular belief, there's nothing sinister about hypnosis. It can't make you do anything against your will. I can't even make you say anything you would avoid saying in your regular conscious state. It's just a hyper-focused state of mind, during which you are capable of resurfacing things that your brain has otherwise blocked away. You may not be willing to go right into your traumatic experience, so I'm going to work you down into it, very slowly and at your pace. In the meanwhile, I'll be writing down everything you tell me, so that when you wake up, I can help you consciously remember it all. Any questions, Ray? How long does it take? It varies, but don't worry about that. You're not paying me by the hour. He teased with a solacing smile. I'm just here to help. Alright, sounds good. Are you ready, Ray? Yes. Wonderful. I want you to lie back against your chair and take a very deep breath. Ray followed the man's instructions, and soon he began to feel as if he were falling asleep. Before he knew it, he was under, and Dr. Laurent began guiding him through his subconscious. First, I would like you to tell me more about these dreams you've been having. You say you wake up often with tears in your eyes. Yes, it's the only place I get to see my old friend. Your old friend? Would you like to tell me a little bit more about your friend? I can't remember. You said certain things make you feel strange and that they put you into a sort of trance. What are some of those things? There was a comic in the store that did, and in the arcade, the Galaga game. Sometimes the stars make me do that too. There are scents that come by now and then, and they do it. Also, there are some songs that make me feel that way as well. May we listen to one of them? Yes. Which one should we listen to? The Great Gig in the Sky. Dr. Laurent nodded. Moments later, as the song began, Ray started to sweat. What are you feeling right now? We listened to it together. Who? You and your old friend? Yes. She wanted to know what music was like where I was from. Dr. Laurent raised an eyebrow. Where was she from? I can't say it. Why not? Because I don't know how to make those sounds with my throat. The answer disconcerted the doctor, but he pressed on. What was your friend's name, Ray? I couldn't say that either, so she told me to call her whatever I wanted. What did you call her? I don't remember. Ray tensed up. I can't believe I don't remember. That's okay, Ray. I'm terrible with names. It happens. Take a few deep breaths for me, alright? Let's leave this alone for now. Tell me, do you know why those things, the comic book and Galaga and the stars, do you know why they make you feel strange? Because they all make me think of space. That's where I met my friend. You met your friend in space? Yes, that's where we went. I was gone for a long time. Where did you go? I just called it Wonderland because I couldn't say that either. Where is Wonderland? It's not even in the Milky Way. It's in another galaxy. It's off in intergalactic space. Many light years away? Yes, they showed me something like a map of the universe, and our galaxy was very far away. They? Yes, it was a whole world, just like Earth, bigger than Earth even.
And these people abducted you?
Yes, they needed me for a special mission. Ray abruptly stopped talking. Tears flooded his eyes. It was supposed to be me. He choked, and his breath quickened. I knew that. I was okay with it. I don't know why I went through with it.
Went through with what? The mission?
Yes and no. She did the mission differently than we were supposed to. He whimpered. I wasn't supposed to be in the control room.
Let's go back a little.
Dr. Lawrence stopped him, and he eagerly scribbled down every word.
So on July 10th, you had been going on a hike through the forest down Piney Green Road, and you passed Millock's Creek. This was a little after noon. Sometime in between noon and 1 p.m., you were abducted and taken to another planet. They took you because they needed you to fulfill some sort of mission.
Yes.
How did they abduct you, Ray?
It was just a big, swirling light. It looked like a vortex, and I walked into it. It drew me in.
What happened when you passed through the vortex?
I met my friend. Dr. Lawrence stared at the floor, lost in thought.
Describe your friend to me, Ray. Was your friend the one who made you do the mission differently than you were supposed to?
Yes.
So your friend is a girl. You referred to her as she earlier. What does she look like?
She was my age, or at least she chose to appear that way. She was a lot older. She always wore this metallic red bodysuit. It covered everything up to her neck. It was really sinister looking to me at first. It kept her alive, though. It was like armor.
She was a warrior?
Yes, that's why they needed me, to help stop the war.
Was she your height?
A little bit shorter.
What color was her skin?
Pale.
Your friend is an alien, but she seems to look just like you or me.
They all did. They were like us, just different.
Different how?
A sister species. Mostly the same, but they absorbed energy unlike we do.
I want to know more about that, but first, keep telling me about your friend. What color were her eyes?
They were bright blue. They really stood out to me because I find girls with blue eyes very pretty.
So do I.
Dr. Lawrence grinned.
And what color was her hair?
It was red, not orange. It was actually red, a bright scarlet shade, and it made me think of cherries. He described, and then his eyes widened, and he trembled slightly. And so, I called her Cherry. Tears spilled from his brown irises, dripping down his face and onto his shirt and the chair.
Cherry, lovely name.
I couldn't say her real name. The way they talk is impossible for me, but she loved it. Ray paused. I finally remember you, he whispered.
Cherry was, for lack of a better word, an extraterrestrial.
Yes, Cherry was something called. And to the doctor's horror, Ray created a noise with his mouth that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. It sounded very far from human, and Dr. Lawrence knew of no possible way he could have fabricated the sound or even produced it to begin with.
That noise, it defines what they were. The sister species you told me about, that's what they called themselves.
Yes, I finally learned how to say it after a while. I was gone for 11 months.
11 months?
Dr. Lawrence questioned, becoming increasingly invested and determined to learn more.
But you were only missing for 6 hours.
Time moved differently there. Cherry told me that every hour on Earth was something like 56 days in Wonderland.
How did Cherry speak to you? You couldn't understand her language, I'm sure.
Because her species could absorb information and experiences from other life forms. They were sensitive to an energy that they said is emitted from the soul. The name they used to explain it to me was prana, though it also had a true name I couldn't say. She learned English by absorbing my prana, and she did that by pressing her forehead against mine and looking deep into my eyes for a while.
Remarkable.
Dr. Lauren commented, wondering if you were merely talking with a deeply deluded teenager or a genuine pioneer of intergalactic exploration, an authentic victim of an alien incursion.
Were these beings hostile?
No, not really, but they tried to trick me. The words made the doctor's skin crawl.
Trick you? How so?
They wouldn't tell me why they needed me, but I figured it out.
Why do they need you, Ray?
I don't know if I want to tell you.
Only if you feel comfortable, Ray.
Jerry really cared about me, even if they didn't at first. Genuinely, I had been counting the days there, and I deduced that I had been on Earth for the same amount of time. It would have been Christmas time. She didn't know what that was, but I let her look into my memories to see. She wanted to spend Christmas with me. It didn't really get cold there like it does on Earth, but we hung up decorations and we made a Christmas tree out of some conifer on her planet. I told her about Christmas songs, and then out of nowhere, she started singing, "Baby, it's cold outside." I guess she had found it in my memories. I was so surprised, so touched. It felt like being home for a moment. We sang it together. It really felt like it was Christmas time.
Just peeking into your memories, she was capable of learning an entire song in a foreign tongue.
Yes, she could learn a lot in just a matter of seconds. The entire English language, for that matter. With prana, they could do many strange things.
Wow.
I wasn't a prisoner. I was allowed to move freely. They just kept track of me because they really needed me.
Ray, may I at least ask the nature of their purpose with you? You don't have to tell me exactly why, just a little about it. You could help them stop the war somehow, that they want you to fight for them.
You have to understand they could, and did, absorb everything around them. The prana of all things on their planet, the animals, the trees, even each other, everything, which is why they needed a pure atmosphere. This interconnectivity with prana sustained them. It kept them alive forever. They didn't age, or bleed, or even get sick.
Interesting. Why did Cherry need to wear armor then?
Because if they were far from other living things on their planet, they became just like human beings, mortal, and they had to leave in order to fight.
To fight what?
Abominations. Cold silence.
What kind of abominations?
Another awful gurgle emitted from deep within Ray's esophagus, and what scared Dr. Laurent the most was the way Ray's eyes moved as he produced the otherworldly sound, almost seeming to roll back into his head. That's what they were called in Cherry's language. They were large, and they had fleshy, pointed tentacles. They slithered, but they could also stand and walk. They had something like beaks over their mouths and multiple tongues, and they only had one big, round eyeball that stuck out from some sort of slimy appendage over their heads. A stalk. It could look around 360 degrees, like a periscope. They could breathe in really poisonous environments, and they had a penchant for conquest. They wanted to subjugate Cherry's planet. They were trying to devise a way to overcome Cherry's people's immortality, and discovered that if the atmosphere became polluted enough, the plants would die, and so would their prana production. Then their immortality would wane, and they could kill them. But there was a way to destroy them, too.
And what was that?
They were cold-blooded. Their bodies required incredibly hot temperatures to survive. They had created this gigantic engine, he decided, in the core of their planet. I don't know what else to call it. It heated the entire surface, all the way up to the highest levels of the atmosphere, keeping them alive. But they had melted their prior planet, and however many more they had overtaken in the past, and so they needed a new one. Their planet was melting away again, and this time they were determined to take Cherries. We had to destroy the engine.
And they needed your help to do this?
Yes, they needed a human being. I remember realizing that the only thing I had that they didn't was my mortality. Dr. Lawrence studied him nervously.
What do you mean?
They were flawless. I wasn't anywhere close as strong or smart as they were. I failed to rival them in every way, but they couldn't die. At least not on their world, and they needed me to feel the weapon.
How are you to do that? Feel the weapon?
They lied to me. Ray cut his eyes. But Cherry told me the truth, or admitted to it, anyway, when I confronted her.
You confronted her? About what?
It's okay. You can tell me, really. I don't mind. I wondered for a long time why you might possibly have brought me here. When you think about it, there's only one quality I have that you don't. I can die. And for some reason, you need me to die. Is that right?
Ray.
It's fine, really. I live such a pointless life on Earth. Desperate times call for desperate measures, right? I'm fine with this. I promise. Yeah. You let me know the truth, that the weapon needed a sacrifice to work.
What do you mean?
They had initially built it with the prospect of using a spirit as a power source, because spirits contain an inordinate amount of prana. But it failed. They had put one of their own in the heart and tried to fire it up. It attempted to absorb his soul, but it couldn't because of his susceptibility to prana, his connection to everything else's that kept it tethered. So it just kept pulling away at him until they turned it off, never harvesting his spirit as fuel. A lot of his body was missing, but he was still alive. Somehow it was so devastating to his body that despite their regenerative properties, he never fully healed, but it still had failed to kill him. And that's when they realized that the spirit couldn't be extracted from one of their own, and that the weapon's function was contingent on a mortal being's death.
So they wanted you to die for them, in their machine?
Yes, they had attempted it with other humans before, and although it fired every time, it always failed to hit where they intended, or the beam scattered before reaching the engine. It was too erratic. They had to perfect it, and at last, apparently, they did. I don't know who he was that they used before me, but with his death, they had targeted a star in another region of the galaxy and hit it with flawless precision. When their weapon was ready, they took me, determined to finish the war once and for all.
Why did they keep you so long? 11 months?
They had to wait for the planet to rotate into the right position. When the cannon would be facing the engine, they were going to fire it only a few hours after I had been abducted, but something went wrong and they had to fix the weapon. Then they had to wait for the perfect position again, which took close to a year.
So they were going to murder you?
Yes, but I understood. They tried with their own people first. They needed someone mortal. They were desperate to end the war. When I told them I knew, they gave me the chance to leave, but I agreed to stay.
Why?
Because I wanted my life to finally mean something. Dr. Lorne frowned. Cherry never wanted to deceive me. She was going to tell me all along. They didn't even want her to be around me, but she didn't care.
Why didn't they want her to be around you?
Because she was absorbing my prana and becoming like me.
Becoming human?
Yes. I remember once we were taking a walk together and she tripped and scraped her knee, and it bled.
So despite the fact she was losing her immortality, she stuck with you?
Yes. I don't know why my prana was somehow severing her from everything else's, but evidently that's exactly what it was doing, and she still didn't care.
Do you think that Cherry was in love with you?
He swallowed, admitting, maybe.
Were you in love with Cherry?
I think so.
You think so?
I don't know what love feels like, really, but I couldn't stop thinking about her, ever. I was okay with dying if it meant Cherry would get to be alive, and although everyone else kept their distance, she was really my friend. She wanted to know about me and spend time with me, the mission aside.
I have to ask, if you fulfilled your mission, how are you still alive? Or did you abandon it?
Ray stared at the floor, dismay creeping over his countenance. We were alone, with the weapon. It was like a rocket blasting off. No one could be near it when it fired. It was colossal. They said it took close to 80 years to build it. It looked like a gate, with a budding spear tip coming out of the center. It was white and golden, but could only be in the right position to fire for a little while. No time for goodbyes. This is it, the culmination of all my time here. Ray raced behind Cherry, who grabbed his wrist, pulling him along the metallic catwalk toward the control room. I can't believe we're here after all this time. Ray thought to himself in a daze as he ran, examining the girl before him, the light of the bluish star that was their sun glimmering along her red jumpsuit. Her red hair dangled wildly behind her as her strong legs pushed ahead. Ray glanced to his left at the gargantuan machine. It terrified him that his soul was going to be absorbed by it. The deeper spiritual implications had haunted him for weeks. But when he turned his eyes back to her, it felt okay.
This is the door to the control room.
She stopped at last, and the two caught their breath.
I'm going to be piloting the weapon from here. That elevator over there.
He pointed a little further down the catwalk, the two already over 100 stories in the air.
Will take you up to the heart.
His eyes scanned the thin, needle-like tip that extended another 50 stories into the heavens. Protruding just outside the towering metal point of the structure was what seemed to be a chamber, which he presumed to be the heart. Okay, I'm ready.
Ray.
She studied his face somberly, her icy eyes rife with emotion.
I'm so sorry that everyone led you on. Everybody's just so tired of this war.
Don't apologize. Ray smiled, a tear forming in his eyes as he met Cherry's blue spheres one final time, breathing in her intoxicating scent. I finally got to live for something actually meaningful. She slowly shook her head.
Here.
She dug her hand into a pocket of the cardinal red jumpsuit, handing him a rectangular metal box. She typed in what seemed to be a code, although there were no visible buttons on the object, and to his surprise, it slid open. She hugged a thin object against her breast, then folded it and placed it into the box, shutting it at last.
You can't see the numbers, but they're arranged just like a human dial pad. I made it just for you, so nobody can ever get into it without your permission. The code is 071018.
Then, to his surprise, she slashed her finger across the sharp piece of metal sticking out from the apparatus they stood upon, drawing a fresh red glob of blood. She pressed her fingertip into the box. Why did you cut yourself, Cherry?
Because this is my life that I'm giving you.
A tear formed in her eyes.
No more time.
She shoved him forward.
Go, Ray. I'll talk to you over the comms when you get to the heart.
Ray nodded, dread building in his chest. She frowned as she noticed his apprehension.
Are you afraid, Ray?
Somewhat.
Please, don't be.
She stepped forward and hugged him, her fingers sliding through his hair. His breath hitched and he held her on the swaying catwalk, finding the courage to persevere.
Just don't look back, okay?
She pulled back and met his gaze with her teary eyes. I won't look back, he declared, though his entire body felt like gelatin.
We'll talk soon.
She disappeared behind a metal door, ostensibly leading into the control room, and he moved as fast as he possibly could to the elevator. He stepped inside, then pressed the only button labeled in a tongue he could understand, wincing as the elevator subsequently rocketed upward. Watching the world blur around him as he traveled skyward, his body expelled emotions he had never known. This is goodbye. He thought of his parents, of Trina, of his close cousin Josh. I never got to see any of you again. I really wish I could have thanked you all, at least told you guys goodbye. But still, despite his guilt, it felt worth it. They would understand, if only they could ascertain the circumstances, he decided. They might not be humans, but they're a species a lot like us, and even if they wanted to deceive me, they're people. We would do the same. He tried to imagine Earth in a similar position. I'm ending a war. I'm destroying monsters. He recalled the gruesome videos he had been shown of them, and the destruction they had wreaked throughout the galaxy. My death will mean something, more than my life ever did. Lonely images raced through his mind of school, work, existence, and you get to live. He felt his heartbeat accelerate at the thought of Cherry. At last the elevator stopped, pulling him from his trance. He walked along the nauseatingly high platform to the heart, mere rails standing in between him and the several hundred-story drop. But there was no reason to be afraid. He was going to die anyway. Entering the cold metal doors of the heart, he found a seat in the center of the room, with 2 metal sleeves through which he assumed he was meant to place his arms. At the end of the chair were 2 control pads, one on the right, the other on the left, and on the right was what seemed to be a trigger. He weakly stepped toward the chair. He sat within it, sticking his arms into the sleeves and resting his fingers on the control pads at the end. He found it difficult to breathe as he stared outside the gigantic window, studying the inexplicably beautiful sky, festooned with planets and stars much different than Earth's. "Sherry, I'm ready. Fire up the heart."
That's your job, babe.
"What are you talking about?"
I love that word, babe. I like how you humans pair the feeling one has toward an infant to the way one feels toward a lover. It's like you're calling them innocent or something.
"Sherry, we're running out of time." A confused smile found his lips.
I know. You're silly, Ray. You thought I'd let you go through with this.
"What?"
Once we started to spend a lot of time together, I realized I had a chance to save you. Everybody. I tripped that day and scraped my knee. Remember the blood? I had never seen my blood before. Isn't that crazy?
She giggled with a profound warmth, as if experiencing an emotion Ray never had. What are you saying?"
I think it's so cute you named me after a fruit because my hair is red.
She chortled again, and Ray leaned back into the seat, his cheeks reddening.
I love how humans think. Promise me that you'll always stay yourself, Ray.
"You're in the heart," he choked. "Aren't you? And I'm in the control room."
I've already disengaged all the satellites. I locked it onto target and ran all the pre-fire tests this morning. It's all ready to go. It's just waiting on your command to fire.
"But..." Tears blinded his view of the cosmos, warping the colors of the clouds. "When I pull this trigger, you'll..."
Die. It's beautiful. You don't really understand, Ray. When you're a child, you never want to sleep because you just want to be awake, alive, experiencing things. You're so curious. The world is new. But then, when you start to get older, you really learn to appreciate sleep because you become more aware of how hard it is to be conscious. You start to feel real pain, real emotions, and what was once an encumbrance is now a gift. It's the same way with life. Once it becomes infinite, you start to realize what a blessing death would be. It's just like staying awake without the promise of sleep. Eventually, you need rest. I know you can't really understand because you're mortal, but death is just another experience, a natural one. I've been alive for so long, Ray, and I'm ready to go. I've been ready for a long time, because eventually you realize that there's nothing left to see, and you're tired.
"Jerry!" Ray's tone was shrill.
The irony is now that I can finally die, I met the only thing that I would ever want to stay alive for. That's you, Ray. I don't know how existence always balances out like that. Now that I finally have a reason to live forever, it's the very thing that strips me of my immortality. Isn't that something? But don't look at it that way. You've answered 2 prayers of mine. You gave me a reason to live again, and you've given me a reason to die.
"I can't do it." He shivered, his hands clammy as his index finger hovered over the trigger.
You can, babe.
She laughed again, and it sounded inhuman, angelic.
I believe in you.
"But if you die, then what's the point?"
You have the whole world ahead of you, silly. Take it from somebody that squeezed the very essence out of life. There's tons more to do. Don't let some girl, just one person in this cosmos of people, ruin your life.
"Some girl?" He gagged, talking about it like this is some casual breakup.
You're so sweet, Ray. You were going to die for us, even after we deceived you and took you away from your home.
"This is my home. You're my home."
Then you should know that I'll always be with you. I know that's platitudinous, but it's real. Our souls became one. That's what sealed the deal. I was able to experience something with you that my kind hasn't encountered in centuries, millennia even. I knew my relationship with you would cost me my immortality, but it was worth it. Not only because I got to enjoy that with you, but because it gave me the opportunity to take your place.
You can't leave me here, please.
Time's up.
Her tone was content, resolute.
It's go time, Ray. You need to pull the trigger.
Cherry, damn it. He winced. Sweat poured down his forehead, his stomach icing over. He squinted his eyes shut, unable to process the mix of both intense thrill to discover how much he had meant to her and despair at the understanding that this revelation was in the wake of her demise, a demise she would incur at his own hands. He sank his head back into the chair, grinding his teeth in desperation. His whole body felt limp for a moment, debating if the deed were even possible. And then, his anxious finger acquiesced, tensing over the trigger. There was a click.
I can feel it. It's starting. I'm dying.
No. I finally had a life that mattered, a death that mattered. Ray hollowly peered through his tears, watching as a spectral radiance began to gather at the pinnacle of the weapon.
I hope you know, Ray, that despite living all this time, I never knew anything like the way just hanging out with you felt.
She declared, and he could hear the tears in her timbre.
Promise me you won't stop living. Live past this, Ray. That's my gift to you. Life.
Before Ray could respond, the sound of the weapon firing up grew to an ear-piercing volume. Then, a gigantic pillar of energy too bright to look upon bolted through space. Ray slammed his eyes shut, releasing a terrified cry as the sleeves locked his arms in place for a moment, his fingers still crushing the trigger. It lasted but a second. Then the light and the noise and Cherry were gone. Ray slowly blinked, and the sleeves released their tension on his arms, freeing him from their grasp. He tried to stand from the chair, but his buckling legs did not support him.
I see. Then you fired the weapon, destroying the engine and all the inhabitants that relied upon its warmth, and Cherry with it.
Yes. Ray's tone was distant.
Do you think that perhaps you went into shock afterward?
No. That's not why I didn't remember. They wanted me to forget. They said it could be dangerous both for myself and for them if a human being knew about them. They didn't force me, but they pleaded for me to let them take my memories away of it all. I didn't want to. I wanted to remember Cherry. I wanted to carry on her legacy and live the way she wanted me to accept her gift. But I decided that remembering her might be more painful than forgetting, so I agreed. They drained my brain of all of it, everything I had done and felt and seen there. They also gave me something that reduced my aging by a year, so it seemed as if I had never left. I don't think they knew about the box, though.
Ray, would you open that box for me?
No. I'm sorry, I want to be alone when I open it. I don't know what she left for me. I want to see it myself first.
I understand.
A pause.
I'm going to wake you up from your trance. I've written down everything you told me. You can do with it as you please. Then you can be on your way.
Soon, Ray was sitting up in his seat, enraptured by an inexpressible relief, as if the weight of the world had been lifted off his shoulders. Did it work?
I'm not quite sure,
Dr. Lorne confessed at a loss for words.
Here is everything you told me.
He handed him a stack of messy notes.
I apologize for the handwriting.
No, don't. I can read it. He glanced at the top few words. I'm not sure what I told you, but I do feel better, so thanks.
I'm not sure what you told me either.
He smiled slightly.
But I'm glad to hear it.
Ray sat out in the countryside, lying down on a blanket, gazing up at the glimmering stars. He had never known how much more visible they truly were beyond the city limits, and calmed by them, he confronted the torn-out pages. Time to know the truth. His breathing intensified. He brought the notes to his eyes, reading every word, aided by starlight. What? Ray was stunned. That's ridiculous. He hurled the notes and they drifted down around him onto the grass. That can't be. That's seriously what I said? Is this some sort of joke? In disbelieving denial, Ray lay back, staring up at the sky. That's not possible. I must have been drugged or something that day in the woods, and maybe touched or something, he muttered. I don't know, but that's absurd. No wonder that hypnotherapist was looking at me like I was insane. And then it occurred to him. The box. Despite his doubts, butterflies fluttered in his stomach, Ray retrieving it from his jeans pocket. You're the only chance I have left at finding the truth. He examined the object. Please, don't fail me. Feeling like an idiot, Ray typed in the code, imagining in his brain where the numbers would be if it were a cell phone. He noticed that 071018, the code Dr. Laurent had written down for him, was a date that he had been abducted, the date that he had apparently met Cherry. He waited a moment in embarrassed, bated breath, and then his heart skipped a beat, the top half of the rectangle quietly sliding back and opening. A scent longingly familiar to him reached his nose. Cherry, her skin. And all the memories surged back. Now they weren't just insane words scribbled onto pages that painted a bizarre, implausible image in his mind, but distinct and vivid memories from having lived the events himself over the course of nearly a year. Ray removed the folded object from the box. It was a picture, a thin, small picture that she had printed for him. It was the two of them in her room. She wore her scarlet bodysuit, outlining the features of her slim and lithe physique, and she leaned into his shoulder. A perky grin stretched across her face. He just smiled calmly, and in his brown eyes was a peace he hadn't known in what felt like centuries. Her long, red hair blanketed her back and shoulders, and their hands were close to one another's, pressing into the mattress upon which they sat. It's all true. His words defied his brain as they passed through his ears. Memories of this are what I wake up from. My old friend Cherry. His body teemed with warmth as he meaningfully expressed her name for the first time on Earth, truly aware of its meaning and their time together. A gigantic smile spread across his face. I'm in love. He cheered into the cosmos. He chortled, the fervent embrace of Cherry's soul, one with his. And you want me to keep living. That's why you took my place. He gazed at Cherry's fingerprint on the box, her blood, the final mark of her tangible existence. Then he turned his head toward the dark summer sky, estimating the location of the planet he had been living on for the past year, invisible off in a galaxy beyond. And though an incomprehensible distance existed between the place where he had met her and the place where he was missing her now, it made him feel close to her regardless, because, in essence, it was the very same summer sky. Though in an entirely different crook of the universe, with different planets and different stars and different constellations, it was all connected, all part of the grander cosmos that they used to gaze at together. And deep within his soul, he wondered if she were gazing at it too. I don't know what to say. Editing this is gonna be a little bit tough. I gotta flip into the backstory part. I hope that he ends up texting Sadie, who apparently seems to look very similar to Cherry, and their personalities are also very similar in the ways that they spoke and teased and stuff. I'm a sucker for romance things. If you're into anime, there's a great show called Dangers in Your Heart, and great romance. Wow. I wonder if I should just cry. Maybe that's the best thing that I can... I mean, I cried a lot reading, but because it was third person, I tried not to be as emotional as I would have if this was written in first person. I tried to be a little bit less emotional as a narrator describing Ray's stuff when I was reading the non-dialogue parts. This is written by D.D. Howard, one of the most beloved authors on the channel here. I've read 4, 5. This is going to be the 5th one, I believe. 6th, maybe? Is it? Relax FM, Adam and Rem, Xanadu. What was the name of the story with Leona? Loser's Leap. So yeah, this is number 5. I think. I'm pretty sure, yeah. This is Graveyard Shift. This is number 6. And it is the last one I have on the list. I said that last time, and then he provided me with 3 more, and now I'm saying it again. This is the last one I have from him on the list. So, everyone in the comments tell Mr. Howard to write more. I'm struggling, man. This is going to be one of the longest outros, but the recording for this has been 2.5 hours. I've been sitting here. So, I mean, whatever. This story was... What was it? Beautiful isn't a good enough word. In terms of similarities, this was the most I was most reminded of Relax FM. If you haven't listened to that, you should go listen to that. There's a playlist with all of D.D. Howard's story on the channel. I'll try to remember to link it below. And if I don't link it below, just go to the channel and go to the playlist section. I wonder how the main character here is going to tell his sister about all of this. I wonder if or when he ever will text Sadie. I thought that would be the ending, but I was surprised on this one. When I've listened to and read stories like Relax FM and The Girl the Universe Forgot, also written by D.D. Howard, narrated by the Dark Somnium, the endings were ambiguous. It was a matter of, did this really happen? Was this all a dream? But the picture at the end was pretty different than some of the other endings that Howard has written. The story was exceptional. It was amazing. It was very engaging. A lot of times when I'm reading a story, I'll think about my thoughts while I'm reading the story that I'm gonna say at the end of the narration, like I'm doing right now. But I didn't really have a chance to think while I was reading this. I just read it. I was there, completely engulfed in the story, and I really truly hope that I'm able to edit this to a capacity in which you are able to immerse yourself in the story to the same extent. I know that most people listening to these things are doing something else while they're listening, and that might make it a little bit harder. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you something. I hope you have thoughts to share in the comments. I'm just honestly blown away. Mr. Howard, maybe I should address you. You listen to basically like most of my stories. You comment pretty often, so I'm assuming you're listening to this one as well, my friend. You, sir, I don't know what you do for a living, but good gracious, you are one of the best writers I have ever read in my life. I've been a reader for much of my life, very long time. A lot of people, when they were in English back in the school days, they would spark notes the books and stuff. I read every single book that was assigned, every grade. All right, I hated all of them basically. There was very few of them I liked. Catcher in the Rye, horrible. Giver, horrible. The Giver was like mid. Okay, Of Mice and Men, super weird. Like, okay, I didn't like these, but I read all these books. Obviously, I've been a reader of No Sleep, a listener of No Sleep for so many years now. I started reading No Sleep at like the sophomore year of high school. That would be like 7 years ago now. And then I have a shelf of books. Those are nonfiction books. I read a lot of nonfiction when I didn't read Reddit stuff. I've read light novels from, Japanese sources and things, and they're pretty good. I watch anime and stuff. I read manga sometimes, manhwas and stuff. Howard, you have world-class writing. The writing here, the way that the plot unfolded, the way that the characters revealed the plot through conversation is a very high level of writing. And again, I don't know what you do for a living, but if you're not writing for a living, then your ability to pull this off, I mean, most people aren't going on the internet and studying how to write well. So if you're just doing this based off your creativity, off your imagination, this is just raw, sheer talent, man. Good bloody gracious. Good job. Good work. I mean, I'm a writer as well. I mostly write nonfiction. I'm very bad at fiction, mostly because I don't have the creativity to come up with a plot and a world and characters. But I as egotistical as it is, I'd consider myself a decent writer, and because I've read so much, I know what decent writing looks like, and this is exceptional. This is like beyond a level of what someone can reach with practice. This story, I don't know, man, it's so hard to say this one's your best. I love all of them. I love all of them a lot. Loser's Leap was amazing. Relax FM is like super memorable. I remember the entire thing. Man, obviously I've spoken extensively on The Girl the Universe Forgot, my thoughts on that story. I just, this is definitely, The Girl the Universe Forgot is very special to me, so it's very hard to say that there's a story that is better than that. There's only, like, the only story in my soul that resonates with me and that I think about as much as The Girl the Universe Forgot is, written, I forgot the author's full pen name, but the story is What Happens When the Stars Go Out, also narrated by the Dark Somnia. And this one is so sad, but not sad. Because there's Sadie, who is basically a carbon copy of Cherry. And I think there's, hopefully something there. So I think things will go well for him. And his family is awesome. I mean, a cousin that cares that much and such a sister that loves him to the extent that she does is really cool. I think the main character's life is definitely he has a great people in it. Yeah, I just, honestly, even though I haven't said much, and this is probably a 10-minute outro here. Oh god, there's people screaming out the window. Hopefully that isn't audible. But I think my lack of words is probably a good indicator of my feelings on the story. I don't think there's any amount of words that I can use to describe how the story made me feel. It is ineffable, as one would say. Though there were some big words in this one, Mr. Howard. So, thanks for making me read those. I don't even know if I pronounced one of them correctly, and it was proposial or proposious. I don't remember the word anymore. I'm not going to go scroll up to find it. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly because I didn't look it up. I was lazy. Again, I've been here for 2 hours. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the story. Howard, if you have like a Ko-Fi or something that people might be able to support you, if he has one of those, I'm going to put it in the description and the pinned comment. I mean, he might leave a comment, in which case that would get pinned. But anyways, if you have that, buddy, send that over. I mean, I'm going to email you and ask for it. But yeah, if there's any way that anyone who wants to or is able to can support you, I think that would be great. Support the author. The only way that I would like you to support me is if you guys want to leave a like and a subscribe on the story. And again, comment about what you thought. This was amazing. This is I'm so honored to be able to read this guy's stories. I'm, goodness gracious, undeserving. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Ego Volt Anima Vestra.